Hit me!
Episode 385.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
That is right. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring. And right now there's an entire audience that's going, what's radio? That satellite stuff?
They have no idea what radio is.
No, they don't. Just the same way I had to, guys, this morning, little bougie, I had to take my dog to the groomers, right? The groomer no longer takes cards. You can do cash or you can do check with the groomer. Look, man, I'm not going to get into it. Now, what I did, though, Trent, is I took this piece of paper, okay? It's a special piece of paper with numbers printed on it, okay?
You actually have paper?
I have checks. We do have paper checks, and I used one to pay her. I was going to make the joke, kids, there was this piece of paper that I could write out stuff on, and then money would come out of my account to pay her,
Dude, I don't even own a checkbook.
You and many others, my friend. Also, the beautiful thing about it too is that we recently had to reorder the checks, and it used to be. This tells you what the state of printing is. Used to be you got this gigantic box of 10 checkbooks, right?
Yeah, it was a brick, like a literal, the weight and dimensions of a traditional construction brick.
Instead, we got an 8.5 by 11 business envelope. And we opened it up, and I'm like, what? And it's like a brochure. I'm like, what brochure is this? And I open it up. One checkbook on the top, one book of checks on the bottom. It's two, just two, Trent. Two.
It's kind of like when you that first checking account that you open, and they give you the packet of here's your whole thing, and here's
your first 25 unprinted checks that everyone will judge you if you use.
Exactly. Yeah, it's totally what they're using now, just for everyone.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, hi guys, welcome another episode of NetHeads. My name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
Oh my gosh, look at him, everybody. Look at him, and he's got the hat on this time too. It's far less jarring.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. If you want to take part in the program and you're watching live, one of many ways, just wherever you're watching or streaming, except for X Twitter. If you're watching us there, then sorry, we're not going to see your messages. But you can go to one of those other many streaming platforms and see us there instead. Yeah. Maybe even like and subscribe, hit that bell button, get noticed. What's all the other crap they say?
Just go ahead and match the like and subscribe for blah, 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 blah.
By the way, if you're mashing a subscribe button, that means there is a potential that you could be unsubscribed at the end.
Right, double click.
Yeah. Okay.
As the last episode taught you, Will. Double click isn't always what you want.
No, it's not. It was 2 ago, but I know what you mean because over my shoulder is the finished Deadpool helmet, which I will be happy to tell everybody that it now has strips of elastic on the inside, so the pieces have enough room to get over my dome. Or more importantly, I'm going to 3D print. It's a wall mount for helmets. Like motorcycle helmets, but But PLA plastic's going to weigh a lot less, so I'll be able to have him up kind of on the wall. I was going to put him somewhere, hopefully right around here, if I can make it work. For those of you that are just listening to this, I'm pointing at an empty space on the wall. Go figure.
But the cool thing, I like, it wouldn't take a lot, and this is probably something you could do without having to have a different pattern. You could modify that Deadpool mask for a Red Hood mask super easily.
Actually, I've already got a free version of the Red Hood mask too, Trent. I mean, the problem with having a 3D printer and being able to print any nerd shit I want is that eventually you get an overabundance of this stuff and you realize, even though I can take a roll of plastic and turn it into Wolverine's skeletal hand with the blades coming out, mounted into a cool stand.
Nickety stick.
Yeah, you can do all, or you can make your own Wolverine claws, right? That with a hand grip, so that way you're using kind of the same thing Hugh Jackman uses in the movies.
Yeah.
You could do that. Eventually, however, with a machine that has the ability to make things, you run out of space real quick. Just real quick.
Yeah, because the filament doesn't take up a lot of space, but once you start spreading that filament around into shapes that aren't just
and hopefully consensually.
It's true. Consent is key, as I've been told.
It really is. For those of you that may be wondering, hey, who is this bearded guy on the podcast? I kid. Trent, it's so nice and wonderful to hear your voice and see your face again. For those that don't know, and by the way, remind me, do I have your Venmo or is it your Zelle?
Well, first off, what's Zelle?
Okay, that's something that tried to replace Venmo, where the banks were in control of it, so they're getting the percentage.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And not just PayPal. PayPal, I will never understand why PayPal and Venmo both still exist. Same company.
Because, man, brand recognition. Why is it still, by that token, why is it Hardee's on one side and Carl's Jr. on the other, my friend?
I know. Just because of the Mississippi River, like,
why
does that have to be the delineator?
Or because they don't want me to have biscuits and gravy. That's what I think.
Oh, that's true. Well, they at breakfast they do at the CJ's, as we call it.
Not mine. That must be a you thing, sir, because that's not a me thing. But I will say, this morning I ventured into something that I did not anticipate I would. As you know, Trent, as you are very familiar from, I'm sure, my Instagram feed, okay. I use baking bread as a form of therapy. It's something, it's a process. I'm making seemingly something from nothing. It's very much, actually, now that I think about it, Trent, baking bread this way, this sourdough bread, this was the original 3D printing. Because you're taking ingredients and turning them into something else. Yeah.
Well, and anyway, when you look at like when the different pans that were used for different types of breads,
Yes.
Totally. Absolutely.
Anyway.
3D growing.
Yeah. Let's not actually, speaking of which, you got a growing story. Don't forget that we need to share it because you've gone through a yard transformation. Yes, you're working on it.
God, dude.
Right? See, we'll get back to that because let me tell you something. I'm so frustrated with my lawn right now. I'm tempted to go the way of, have you heard about clover lawns?
Well, I've had a clover lawn in the past and it pissed me off.
Okay, never mind then. F the clover lawn. But I got to do something with mine out front because it's just not. But like, ever since my gardener, la-di-da, ever since my lawn mowing guy, ever since he retired and somebody else bought the business, I hate to say this, my lawn, it just doesn't look as good.
But so I'm just intrigued. So they're purposely growing clover and to replace the grass?
Yes, that's what people are starting to do now. Is I don't know what kind of clover it is, but
yeah. No, I get it. Like the only reason I really care about. Oh, we can talk about it later. Let's go on. Save it for later.
Let's still get. What the hell just happened behind?
I heard something. Which
I don't know. Something fell. I've just got too much stuff up here. That's the microphone I use when I'm making TikToks. Nobody gives a shit about that.
I was just worried that you had another kamikaze robot on your hands who's like, "This is it. I'm taking him out."
I don't know. I know you've been gone a while. I don't think it's been this long, but there are Jersey barriers here. To keep the emo robots up. Not to mention they've got a black barrier in here. This is like the double firewall situation. Yeah. And the same thing for the gosh darn little vector robots. They've got a pen in a pen. But the only thing is that the walls technically need to be a little higher because they'll still get their little drop gates over and then they don't know how to get free. And
they just get stuck.
I don't know. It's kind of like it's like when you see an animal with its head stuck in the fence, right? It's the digital version of that, I guess. Kind of. Well, if an animal is stuck in the fence because they've got horns or something, so they got through, but now they can't work the engineering to get back through. okay, look, it was me, it was the stairs, and they had to put butter behind my ears, but can we just call it a sheep or an animal that's stuck in a fence? Why are you making me admit this, for Christ's sake?
I'm just saying it's funny, and this just shows the regionalisms that so growing up in Wyoming, and all the other states make fun of people from Wyoming because we raise so much sheep. It's like one of the biggest sheep producers in the country, and everyone has a joke about there's a guy from Wyoming, a guy from Utah, and a guy from Nevada driving in a truck, and they see sheep stuck in the fence.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. I want to thank you for trying to raise awareness of some kind, but having heard the stories, I think we're done here. Okay,
I think you're right.
I think we're done here. I think we're done. It's enough. By the way, want to point out,
one episode of Pure Species Erotica was plenty.
Okay, Mr. Marvelite dropping in, which is Tony. Probably bitterly wondering why the hell you're here.
Yeah, sorry.
No, he chimes in saying that ivy is really big in Virginia, or clover and ivy are really big in Virginia instead of grass. I want something that looks good and is drought resistant, but also can handle a winter rain flood situation.
That's my whole. That's the only reason I really care about it is that our springs have gone so late the past few years that the dogs go outside and it just turns into a huge mud pit, and then that comes in the house, and it's just it's the worst.
Ground cover is that when you got a dog and you've got a yard, ground cover is the biggest concern. I thought I was going so smart with decomposed granite, getting it all packed down tight and everything. It was a wonderful design before I got Samoyeds, Trent, because then I got Samoyeds, and guess what?
Yep.
They're dogs that are, in order to get warm in the snow, they dig a trench. So nature has made it so that squishy things between their feet are rewarding and feel good. They get rewarded for their efforts.
Yep.
And decomposed granite, when it's wet, is a wonderful substitute, apparently.
I can. It's not unlike snow.
I had nice sculpted hillsides. Now I've kind of got some hillside with a nice little canyon leading to the trees that they're trying to dig up and kill. It's wonderful. I'm sorry. What were we talking about, Trent? Let's dial it back a notch, since we're clearly going off the rails early on. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because, and I wanted to pull the audio, but then I was thinking I don't want to get hit with a copyright flag, because I wanted to grab the capture of the beginning of that song with the SATURDAY.
Rod Stewart.
Right. Let's play that sucker for, I don't know if it's Rod Stewart, but let's play that, in every time we talk about it being a Saturday night. But then, like I said, I'm concerned about the needle drops, and I'm pretty sure now that I think about it, I heard it somewhere else, so I'd probably be ripping them off, which you don't want to get into.
Yeah.
Because there are, that's the reason why people that are creatives, people that write for a living and everything, they can't take unsolicited things, because if you just happen to have the same idea they do.
Yep.
Poor Trent's just like, look, man, I thought we were going to talk about my computer that died. The reason why you were gone is your computer died. But once again, here's the thing. I finally figured this out. Just this moment, I figured it out. You're like, you know what? It's been 13 goddamn years of this guy trying to continuously cast a shadow over me. I'm figured it out. I'm just going to do one out of every 12 episodes, and the entire goddamn thing's going to be about me. It's going to be the Trent show every time I'm here. I finally figured out how to one-up this mother trucker.
Yeah. It's it's that, or I can always bust out the Trent soundboard again.
No, that's okay. I love
Carl's Jr.
Oh, man. And right now, Tony's going, where is all this structure you were talking about and these bits you wanted? And, having to have me help out. What are you making me Photoshop my own images for? And Trent just slides in. Hi, everybody. Oh, look at me. Ha, Wyoming sheep. Ha, ha, ha. All right, man. I figured you out. Okay. I acquiesce.
The wild card. You got, every once in a while, wild card bitches. Yeah.
No, we had established a pattern that we were kind of setting up, because I do fandoms with Tony over on Nerd Initiative, and actually now they are starting a new endeavor called It's a creative sandbox for video shows for people wanting to potentially make content called Fanbox.
Okay.
Huh? I mean, which I'm sure eventually you might be able to repurpose and sell that domain if it doesn't work out, because it sounds like it could be many things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
But that is a great, honestly though, great name. And one of the shows that they've already got planned doing is shows about the toxicness of Star Wars fandom.
Oh, I can. Oh,
and guess what the title of the podcast is?
Revenge of the what is Sith?
The Fandom Menace.
Oh, of course, duh. Yep.
That's why we're just gonna be like limping along as NetHeads, and they're just gonna soar, because that's the type of creativity we're just too goddamn lazy to bring to the people.
Yeah. God,
So, as we were saying, I'm guessing 20 minutes ago now, Trent's been gone a while, and the reason why is we had established a pattern, and I would be on with Tony when the days before fandoms, because that would align, and that way Trent, being a professional with 2 to 3 jobs, maybe even 4, who knows, it frees up his time and feeling of having to commit to this jerk in California for so many years. I don't know why he just won't let it go. I understand. I completely understand, but still, thanks for doing it.
We don't care if the horse is dead. We're going to beat it until it moves.
I can't. Once it's dead, you can't hear it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's not saying anything.
Yeah, that means we can beat it even harder.
I mean, I don't understand why we made this turn. I was trying to tell everybody how I reached out to you, and I'm like, hey, are we good? And you're like, no, unfortunately, we're not good. And why was that, Trent?
I got invited to go to a show.
God bless you, sir. I know we haven't done this in a while, so maybe the rhythms are a little bit off, but I was referring to your extended absence.
Oh yeah, my computer just shit the bed. Like the motherboard, it wasn't working. I took it into the shop because I finally was like, I can't. What's going on, guys? I've tried everything. I can't get a video signal from the live. Everything.
They're just like, I'll tell you what. The problem is, it's old.
There was a circuit. Flash of electricity went through some circuits. It fried the motherboard, it fried the CPU, it fried a couple of hard drives. But now I took it as an opportunity. It's not a bug, it's a feature, to really dive in. And I think I was able to save a couple of hard drives, didn't affect the video card and the RAM, and everything else is new. And so it's a screaming mother now with the new Ryzen 9. Woof, woof.
It's interesting you bring this up now. I mean, it's not, because the computer died. It's not interesting. It's sad and frustrating. I've been there. I'm at the point now where the computer that I have, which is a multi-purpose, multifaceted machine, multiple intents. So
yeah.
I use it for leisure. I use it for audio editing, video editing. It has to be a great gaming multimedia machine.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm getting to the point now where it's been 3 years, and I'm wondering, do I need to upgrade any equipment? Because that's the only great thing about going with PC is that you don't make the major hardware investment up front, and you can kind of continue it on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like graphics card, okay, I'll just swap the graphics card out. I'll upgrade it with a new one. And
they're so much cheaper than they were, 5 years ago.
Or even 4, 3. Yeah, the pandemic really screwed things up. But I got this one 3 years ago, and it's been great. I'm at the point where I'm wondering, the age-old question, do I need an upgrade, or do I just need to wipe the OS clean and start fresh?
Yeah, always a good idea. Yeah, honestly, for me, the biggest improvement I saw on this one was the jump from an 8-core to a 16-core processor.
Let me tell you something. You guys were just like, they're talking about goats and fences. There's no technology here. We're talking about PC upgrades, for gosh sakes. So, hey, you, Tom in Illinois, all right? I've seen your messages. It's a tech podcast, not just because we say it is.
Yeah.
Fucking Tom. Anyway.
Also because we say it is.
That's what exactly. It's because we say it is too. I don't know. So, but the beauty of it is hanging behind you right there. Is that the carcass?
Yeah, that's the old one.
Is
Yep.
that there? Is there as a reminder to the new one?
Yeah.
What can happen to it?
I'll pull you apart in a second. I'm not even afraid to.
You're literally leaving the body of its predecessor there as a constant reminder.
Call me Vlad the Impaler. I don't even care. I don't even care what you think of me. You're gonna work, damn it.
So when it came down to it and you realized, oh man, I'm kind of hosed, how did you decide the direction you were going to go?
Well, it all came down to, okay, so I've got 128 gigs of RAM. I don't want to lose that, but the caveat was that it's DDR4, not DDR5.
See, that's where I always get screwed.
Right? Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I want to upgrade.
Yep.
And when you've got to replace a motherboard, you've got to replace a motherboard. But the great functionality of motherboards, it evolves as the technology also evolves. So you eventually get, I've got 128 gigs of RAM here, but if I put them in this machine, I potentially can slow it down.
Exactly. Or it won't even be backwards compatible, which was what I was mostly concerned about. So I was actually able to find an Asus motherboard that worked with everything that I wanted and was AMD 4, so it would take the DDR4 RAM, and so yeah, it's been awesome. I cannot complain. Oh, and then I also took the opportunity to just think out my my JBOD system. So once I did that, everything is just the workflow on video editing is so much smoother, and it runs faster, and it's not getting like the rendering thing is just.
I'm sorry, JBOD.
Just a bunch of disks, as opposed to a RAID system. You can have just a bunch of system.
That's the methodology I've been employing for a long time.
Everyone does, seriously. In fact, this little guy right here is just a JBOD tower.
That's all it is.
All it is.
That's just where we stack the discs. We just put them right back there, So you want to just roll it in here, throw it in, take another one, whatever you do. I don't care.
Whatever you need.
That's where it is.
It's like the little library that people put out in front of their house next to the mailbox.
I've seen a few neighborhoods with that, and that's really cute. But the only question I always ask is, does somebody have to remember to go get the books out of the little library if the rain is coming? Because let me tell you something, my neighbor runs their sprinklers and my mail gets wet.
Yeah, so there's quite a few here in my neighborhood, and like maybe it's just because like they have, I don't know, bought it on Etsy or whatever, but they're legit. They're like little. They're like
they do not. Oh. These were not These were not made from pallet wood, my friend.
No, seriously, they're like, and they've all got like glass fronts. And they're really nice. But whenever I'm walking the dogs, I look in there and they're shit books. Of course, this is just so you don't feel bad about not throwing away stuff. You just put it out in front of your house and say, call it a library. But
this dude is going to wind up in the pit. Utah man thinks neighbors' books in free libraries is crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
true.
The news is going to get you, man. You better curtail that controversial book talk.
I was gonna say I feel like I'm gonna end up on the meme that says your little libraries is just saving you a trip from Goodwill. Prove me wrong.
Oh man, let me tell you something about Goodwill. I very frequently don't remember to take things to Goodwill because I always plan on doing it on the weekends. And if you try and take anything past noon to a Goodwill on the weekend, good luck, because they've already shut their doors because of every garage sale that didn't sell shit is showing up.
It all ends up.
Yeah, they are not going to have any of that. They're like, nope, sorry, too much crap today. Move along.
Where I grew up, there was the Goodwill. It's not Goodwill, but it's like Goodwill. It's a church charity, and they had to but they would just have like these big storage containers that you could just go and put it in there, and then once a month, whatever, they'd come pick it up and sort through it and everything. They had to ask people to stop leaving like their grass clippings.
Well, damn it, we got it. Why'd you why'd you put them in the same bags that we put the leaves in?
And I think what happened was it was on the way to the dump, and so they thought, well, I could just leave it all here and not have to go to the dump this way, and it's problem solved.
Some people might want my trimmings, you know? You don't know. Okay, that sounded wrong. Look,
I
I don't know what happened, but it's gone completely off the rails. I don't know what to do anymore. I really don't. So now you got everything running, but how do the tower sizes compare?
Oh man,
Because let me tell you something. I'm almost tempted to upgrade because this one is a Lenovo gaming multimedia tower. I need to look at the specs on it though, because I'm in that dangerous territory where they've got a model that looks good, but I don't know if it's the same one because I'm that dumb. And it's also on clearance, which is a blessing and a curse because I can maybe upgrade to something better that's near the end of life.
Yep.
Or I should do my research and find out if they're getting out of gaming systems because that also could be it, you know?
Yeah. So I went from like a full size tower. Well, I don't even know what they're technically called. But at the university surplus sale, there was a machine there that was probably being used to like run one program that took a lot of discs, and it was the tower's huge. It's like the biggest one Cool Master makes. I picked it up for $20, and like tower doesn't that you're not going to outdate a tower. You can bolt something inside it, and it's got slots.
It's just a chassis and maybe some wires for the power supply.
If you're lucky, it comes with some wires, right? So I picked that up for $20, and since they're both Cool Master, they're like proprietary, like no screws needed, whatever slots all we're able to just swap out and put in the new one. And man, it is. Here's the best part about it, Will, and this is what I would say about having a tower. You might as well go as big as possible, and this is part of the design as to why towers are built the way they are. The mitts, I can get in there and I can touch stuff, and there's room for me to like move things around and like button things this way or that way.
Oh yeah,
that is such. There's
you're
nothing.
You're not doing one of these.
Oh,
God damn it!
Yeah.
You know,
or you drop the screw and you're like, I don't know where it is. It's gone.
Well, that just lives in there now. That's hopefully it won't bridge anything in a bad way.
Exactly. Which
you know,
probably what happened with that piece of shit.
Let's just leave it over there and don't even bump it. All right, please, just don't. Mine actually is mounted on a holder underneath the desk because it's a standing desk too, which I've actually learned to really embrace and use.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's my problem at work is that I've got all my cables running from like, different JBOD systems and stuff, and I can't use my standing desk because of that.
Well, I find it hard to believe, unless they gave you a tiny one, that there isn't a way you could like try and organize everything on the desk, given that I'm surrounded by 5 monitors, 3 lights, a mixer, a laptop, and a big control system for all the video and audio. I'm just saying, look, I'm not a man of science, but I'm just saying.
Here's what it comes down to. The cost of Thunderbolt cables.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Like they're like, you have a 3-foot one. Why do you need a longer? No, we're not ordering you one. I'm like, okay.
There's quite often, speaking of which, as an Apple household, like occasionally we're always getting these kits of braided cables. Uh-huh. And the funniest thing is the seemingly least productive one that they sent was one that was literally, I think it was like a 6-inch cable. Okay. But let me tell you something. For my cell phone holder in the car to the power port, it's the perfect length.
Because again, that is a frustrating thing as all hell is when you go to pull it out and it gets wrapped around like the shifter, or it's like down on the side of the footwell,
or it slips out of whatever way you rigged it up, and so now it's just hitting you in the knee, and it's summer, so you're wearing shorts and getting really annoyed.
Dude, I am so with you. In fact, I have recently a lot of the cables I've been buying are the spring coiled ones. So that I'll stretch them out to plug them into wherever they need to go for whatever device it might be it HDMI, whatever. There's a company that does an awesome job, not cheap, but they're real and they're cool. They look cool. Called Condor with a K, Blue Condor.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, they're all braided, they're coiled, and then they're like a neon blue. That's like their shtick.
Well, Tony in the chat saying 6 inches is a lot, right? That's what I try and say all the time. After the automatic upgrade to anyway.
Would we could all be that lucky with 6 inches,
right? I'll tell you, getting the standing desk oriented to be able to do what it does, because literally this entire system can move up, and I just have to find the right height so that I'm in the frame in the right place if I had wanted to. But it's very boring up there compared to down here with all of this hullabaloo.
Yeah.
But it really came down to it, even engineering where the desk is in relation to power. And mind you, I've got, as you call them, JBODs, I've got at least 3 spread out throughout the desk.
Yep.
The key thing was getting an initial power strip to go under the desk with a long enough cord to go to power. And then everything else just, it's like, okay, floor is lava. Everything is here.
Yep.
And so it will all move up. And the only thing I got to worry about is the one power cord.
Yep.
One power cord to rule them all.
Yep. And in the darkness, find them.
Exactly. But I will admit, this is the very first house I've ever owned where I'm able to have this much power coming from one power port, and I'm not like, you can't put on the third light because
we're gonna trip the breaker. It's gonna happen.
God, we popped that sumbitch again. Oh,
the AC's out. God.
I was trying to make toast. Were you curling your hair?
Oh my God.
God damn it.
Curling iron. Those things, I don't know what, like, growing up, they tripped everything.
Not to mention the toasters, even when you were growing up, sir, had so far few safety features.
Yes.
I almost imagine that you use the toaster and it's that same type of electric concern being tripped off in Christmas Vacation.
Totally.
Because, man, those suckers, I know, I make toast. And so I spend a lot of time. I never even finished the bread story. You remember that from 20 minutes ago? I make a lot. Well, I don't make we do make a lot of toast. Blair is in a toast tear right now. But I know in my heart of hearts that it takes like twice as long to toast now as when I was a kid. But it's because the things are safer. They're not going to, they're not going to kill me.
Yeah, no, dude, I would love to know like what the wattage was on those things back in the day, because
I can go down to the Goodwill and probably buy one.
Yeah, seriously though. And it was even like, and then they had the family sized ones, right? Where you could do like 4 or 6 things of toast. And this isn't like a toaster oven. This is like a toaster, not a toaster oven, but a toaster. And it's just some iron that's getting super hot.
That's all it is. And we're just going to conduct enough electricity through this wire where it's going to burn.
Dude,
it's okay. It's a controlled burn every time.
It is so bonkers to think that's
the technology, which, by the way, though, if you think about it, is a reasonable solution compared to how people used to make toast, which was on a 4-sided wire tower going over like a burner.
Yeah, sitting on top. Yeah, on top of the stovetop. Yeah.
Yes. So it's you got to take the good with the bad, I guess.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
So the bread story from years ago. Now I was just going to say today I ventured into, but let's finish with the electronics, because the last thing I got to say about computers. This is something new that I probably talked about here on the podcast before, but when I bought this computer, it was shortly after California had passed a new law saying that computers had to meet certain electricity conservation requirements.
Okay.
This computer had to be smuggled in. It had to be flown to Arizona and separately shipped because the manufacturer would not send it here direct.
Wouldn't actually sell it or ship it to.
Yeah. So just call me Han Solo, because I smuggled my computer in. But consequently, if I want to find one of equal power, I'm going to run into the same gosh darn issue.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because and it's not just electronics. Motorcycles. There are 2 types of motorcycles sold in the United States. There's the California motorcycles, and then there's everything else. Because the emissions are, you guys are looking out for the future. Everyone else is like, woo, roast.
No, we're just trying to make sure everybody in Los Angeles can breathe, Trent. to whatever the minimum legal requirement of air is.
Yeah, to just orange days and not solely red days.
Exactly, you get it.
But yeah, no, I totally get it. And yeah, but it's so frustrating to think like, oh, if we all thought that way, then no one would be like having to smuggle anything in. It would just be
Trent.
The design wouldn't necessitate workarounds. They would actually design something to work well to begin with.
Until I can have my cold fusion computer, I guess that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, no, I get it, dude. But then with your cold fusion computer, you'd be doing quantum computing anyways at that point. So we don't even know what
at that point, I will become the singularity. I will become the point between technology and human intelligence they can't be told apart, Trent. That's what I'm trying to say.
Not to derail or tangent ourselves any further, but did you ever watch Devs on Hulu?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
What is that?
Man, it's good. It's really good. It's Nick Offerman plays like this reclusive tech genius who has a very secretive lab that he's recruiting people to come work in. It's good. It's really good.
Let me tell you something. You had me at Nick Offerman.
Right? I know.
That's all. Now I'm ashamed. How did I not know about this?
Yeah.
I should be flogged for not knowing this. I should be punished. It is inexcusable, and I can only request forgiveness from the great Offerman.
In his last book, he talked. The only thing he talked about Devs is how grateful he was to have had such big, well-known gigs previously, Parks and Rec, that could allow him to take such a pay cut to do something so out of the norm. Right, like what he's normally typecast as, it feels like an art house television series.
I will definitely have to check that out now. Didn't know we were going to drop knowledge with Brett.
Sorry,
it's all right. No, I completely
get it.
About
quantum computing, and they're doing it with like cold fusion, so that's why I was like, oh yeah, it's real.
Let me tell you something. I wasn't talking about quantum computing, Trent. What I was talking about is the fact that I make bread for therapy, right? I make bread for therapy, and it took me this long after having my own French toast made out of my bread. I never thought of doing that, and I finally did that today. Okay? Because, it's called sourdough bread. That's what they call it. That's the method it's made. Mine doesn't have that wonderful. I don't care if I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I can't get that tangy flavor.
Like you kind of have to do like sourdough in your region though. Like
yes. If we make any other type of bread, we will be chemically castrated. So we don't do that. But I had never thought to make it out of or use it to make French toast because traditional San Francisco sourdough, you wouldn't do that with.
Right, yeah, because it's a lot dense.
Right, but what I make, no, it's because it's got a sour flavor, man. Did you not remember the last 30 seconds we were talking about?
I get that, but also when I think of like French toast, I want something that's like German pancake almost. Like it's very fluffy.
Oh yeah, you're one of them brioche guys. I get you. All right.
Yeah, totally. So I in my mind I'm thinking no, it would be just kind of like very too dense for.
But here is the trick. Okay, here is the trick, and I've done this once before, so it's I know how good it works. When you're making French toast, when you're taking now, you're not going to get this on any other tech podcast.
Yeah.
So pay attention. Write your notes.
And here's the thing, Will, just because we're talking about 19th century tech doesn't mean it's not tech.
Because we say it is.
Exactly.
Anyway, I did this once before too, and it was very poignant because unfortunately, I hate to admit how much the world of TikTok has taught me. Okay, it has taught me a lot of things. I can take a bag of chips, Trent. I can successfully close that bag to where it is sealed, and the chips will stay fresh. No clip. I'm not going to tell you either. You don't get that knowledge today. That's technology that you think you're like, oh, Will, we're friends. You're going to tell me that? No, I'm not. I'm talking pancakes right now.
Yeah. I can't handle the tech.
No, you can't handle this type of knowledge. All right. You know, you're not the only one cursed with knowledge, Trent, is what I'm trying to say. Harbolary batteries. Listen, I was making French toast, but what I had learned is when you're taking the eggs and the milk and the vanilla and the
Yep.
sugar and whatever else you're putting in there, you're making a custard. Okay? That's actually a custard.
Slash meringue.
Right. So when you soak the bread in that, if you're a meat eater and you cook steak, you know the trick to steak is you sear the outside, right? But then you need to convert to what? You take your steak and you put it in the oven.
Yep.
So that way it can come up to temp.
Yep, and you've still got your caramelized ends.
Yeah, your French toast, it's the exact same thing because it's a custard. You take in, when you're starting your bread soaking, you preheat an oven to 300 degrees. When you brown your French toast, you brown both sides, searing them, if you will.
Right.
Set those on a baking sheet. And then when you've got all your ones made, you stick them in the oven at that 300 degrees for 10 minutes. That sets your custard up in the middle. So instead of a dense grossness, it's a fluffy goodness.
Yep, I get it.
And that's the trick when you're doing and it really works well when apparently you're using homemade sourdough, which is especially great because you're like, you know what? Do I want to go half inch? Do I want to go a full inch on the thickness for my bread? The choice is yours. You're not held back by whatever the man says is the acceptable slice that goes into a loaf you bought at the store. No. You can use a knife and cut your own damn slice however size you want.
You know, Will, I'm not going to say you invented it, but you have discovered in your own way, because who knows, cooking, there's a lot of things, a lot of people, you're basically doing souffle French toast.
Fair enough, man. I'll accept that. I'll take it.
It really
I'm not a pioneer. I already told you. A stupid app where kids were dancing is now teaching me shit on the reg. I'm not saying I'm happy about it.
Yeah, nor should you be.
No. By the way, when I asked you what you like, if I have your Venmo or anything, it's because I want you to know that after undergoing the hardship of having to rebuild your computer, make an investment in new things, I want you to know that $300 from the NetHeads Patreon is going to be coming to you because for those of you that are our wonderful Patreon followers, including Brian Pohl as the Patreon subscriber of the week that we're mentioning, you too are a benefactor of those funds when it comes to making an investment in our podcast. So we're going to send you the $300 courtesy of our Patreon subscribers. See, you guys just thought, oh, Will's spending this money on tech. Oh, look, he's got them USB powered salt and pepper grinders now because he's all fancy. Is that where our goddamn yeah, I do actually. I actually had some battery powered ones. You turned them upside down. It would both provide a light and would grind at the same time. But the problem is those things take 6 AA batteries, Trent.
Oh.
Yeah, to hell with that. Instead, you get these USB-C powered ones. They charge up fine. They still do the light, and you don't have to flip them over. You just press a button, and this way you're not out like batteries every 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's insanity.
Swap them out if you're charging them.
Yeah, but that's not where the Patreon money's going. Don't worry about it. It's all for the stuff here, or technically the 3D printing when I'm doing stuff for the studio. That's the kind of where it goes. So the $300 that I know is in there right now, if not more, is going to be coming your way, as the you thought I've just been taking advantage of you this entire time. I have, but now I'm going to throw a little green your way.
Yeah.
Okay.
First rule of improv, yes, and
yes, I'm gonna send the money. Don't push it.
Will, you don't need to do that, but thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you, Patreoners, patrons,
especially Brian Pohl. He might have been last week too. I don't know. I mess it up quite often, but actually that kind of takes me to the last point where we get, I think, a little bit serious. Yeah. For a moment, and actually, you don't even know what I'm talking about right now. You're not aware of this, but you are aware of the fact that earlier in the year, March 11th to be exact, I had a really bad tumble, right?
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, I tried to invent the Olympic, much like Australia did such an amazing turnout in the breakdancing category that will never come back to the Summer Games.
No.
I too tried to become a pioneer in the really unthought of sport of street diving. Okay,
You're so bad.
And you only learn by doing, Trent. And that's what I did. I said, this is an idea. This is an innovation. I cannot wait to reveal this to the world. And instead I did was reveal the fact that, hey, I found a fun way to both give myself a concussion and a permanent scar on my face right here. It's a Y-shaped one. You really can't make it out on camera, thankfully, or my glasses.
Yeah.
Covered up well. But like all summer, it's been wide brim hats and everything because I have that's new skin. Anyway, since that time, I don't know if people that regularly frequent podcasts have noticed this. However, I more often than not you think the direction of this show is just some type of loose improv and we flow certain ways, and it's a running gag that we're smart enough to work in that we forget what we're talking about. But honestly speaking, since that time, it turns out either I did more damage than I knew, or I didn't give myself enough time to heal properly.
Dude, which is a thing for any concussion.
Yeah, and actually just this past week, I learned I was diagnosed and I'm going to have to treat. But I will say, before I say this, what I'm about to say, I want everyone to know, I have an insane sense of relief right now because I know there's a path out for what's been occurring and concerning me. It turns out that I have what is called, and this in itself is the cognitive test, my friend. It is called persistent post-concussion syndrome. Because I won't get into the litany of it, but there were a lot of things that were happening that I was worried about. And even though there's no essence of it whatsoever in my family history or line, like whenever you learn about like mental conditions to where you can cognitively not be yourself anymore, or even worse, it's the onset of something where you're no longer in control, any of those things.
Yeah, right.
The brain, what I'm saying is, Trent, the brain scares the shit out of me, okay?
It is the most complex thing, and despite all of our leaps forward in physiology and knowing about the human body, we know next to nothing about the brain still.
Yeah, except I'll tell you, personality is governed by the frontal lobe, and that's why concussion victims can have changes in personality and habits and everything else. But needless to say, you can look it up. There were some things that were happening that had me concerned, and now knowing this, I'm so excited because I know there's a path out. Now, even better, Trent, I'm probably going to get much better and faster than anyone else because one of the treatments is linguistic cognitive therapy.
Yes, dude.
I'm going to get better by talking. Hello?
Yep.
Have you met me?
Yep.
I'm gonna be like the Superman of this recovery shit.
I was just gonna say, here's your golden ticket, Will.
Right, son of a bitch. So anyway, that we just found that out, and I'm very excited about it because it really is something where it's nice to know it's not as serious as it could have been, but still, it's not fun to learn. But it's also like explains a lot because I've been like near the end of the day, I get unreasonably tired to the point where I get rude. Mm-hmm. At least I know Emily would say that I have also become extremely irritable, which really isn't like me. I'm usually a very laid back guy. And so, there were just all these little things. And now I'll hopefully be able to talk my way out of it.
Well, two things, Will. Thing number one, dude, good on you for like doing the adult and not stereotypical man thing to do and like seek help for something that's like not normal, because you know what I mean, like the rub some dirt on it, walk it off mentality is still such a thing, especially for dudes of our age. Like it was just like, so A, props on that, that's cool. B, dude, isn't it interesting how we can have just validation, right? Like validation is so important in so many avenues of our lives, in like knowing that there's a reason for something happening. Like it takes a lot of the, I don't know, am I broken as a human being type situation off of your shoulders, I think, at least. So that in and of itself, having a diagnosis and like having, you know, options for treatment and everything is, I totally get as a huge just like it's going to be a journey. It's going to not be easy to deal with, and it hasn't been easy to deal with, I know, for you, but it's going to be more digestible, knowing that there is something and you can point a finger at it, as opposed to just being like, this is who I am. Do you know what I mean?
This is, I guess this is me now. This is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of these cabinet doors were just left open, or, you know, I can't be relied upon to do something as simple as set a pot of water down to boil some eggs because, you know, oh, wait a second, 20 minutes later, what happened? Oh, I did that. No, you know, I've got my hands in a lot of things. And one of the scariest parts of this, and this is the real reason why I knew there was something to be concerned about. You know, I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew there was something to be concerned about. It's when I was asked about something that I did last year, and I looked at it, and I knew, you know what? Yes, this is clearly something I had done because it is in the way I would structure it.
Sure.
It's exactly the way I would do this, but I both could not, one, remember doing it at all, and two, I could not remember how I did it. So in other words, if I got here, I made something, I don't recognize at all how this came about.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, do I have a clone and did they do this? Because this was not I. Am I the clone?
Yeah.
Am I the only one that walked away from that act? Was I just a plant?
Yeah.
And the real Will is now in the Bahamas, assuming somebody else's identity. You're
the syndicate.
I'm just saying, man. It's something to be.
One.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Am I going to become a runner now? Are there guys going to be chasing me because I didn't renew? I don't know. But it also explains why I've had certain weird thought patterns as well, right? Because like somebody might bring something up and then I would just totally get lost in an entire thought trail that would spawn. And then suddenly it's like, wait a second, where am I? What's going on? What are we talking about? Yeah. And how much time has gone by? I guess that one was really the more disturbing one. But, you know, enough of this serious business. Nobody wants to hear about that. Trent, actually, this is interesting. I don't know if you know this, but Hollywood Babylon is happening. Or no, it already happened. Never mind. I don't need to be concerned. Okay. There's a phone call coming in, but I think it's something I can grab in just a minute. I was like, oh, wait a second. But no, it's probably asking me how to get things to me is probably what it's going to be. So at least that's what I hope it is. And Miss Zamora, I'll call you right back. But yeah, I think it's time to go ahead and stick a fork in this, aside from the fact that just to make mention that you've been attempting, it looks like, to convert your backyard.
Dude.
Admit amongst all of this, well, I'm just going to be piecemealing this computer together as I can. You had another project as well, which is trying to lushify the backyard. Is that what it is?
Well, it's so the tenant that had lived with me for like 3 years. Awesome tenant. Love the guy to death. He's one of my best friends now. His dog was a digger. Loved to dig.
If I can empathize.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. And then he would start digging, and then Gus, he realized that, oh, you dig? Maybe I'll try this digging stuff out. And so every time I tried to like redo patches here or there or whatever, it turned into a shit show. And so I just said, he's here for a certain amount of time. Once he's gone, then I'll do it. 4th of July came around and I was like, oh shit, I haven't started on my lawn yet. Summer's half over. It was like an existential dread. It was of like my lawn, of it not existing. But luckily, and this is kind of a cool thing, I work a lot at the university with a professor of soils. Soil in the agricultural college. He is a scientist about soil.
Did he have you putting a bunch of that gypsum in the dirt?
So what he said is the trick to growing grass, essentially, or in a yard in the high plains desert area, because we live in a desert. I live in a desert. Is to just make sure the soil's broken up. It's loose. Because it gets compacted and so dense when it dries out that it just nothing will grow in it. It just turns into rock essentially. And so break it up and then throw in any sort of organic compound along with it. And so I started out with peat moss, but then I don't know if you know that I eat at least 40 to 60 pounds of potatoes a week.
I'm somewhat familiar, yes.
And so I've now, all my potato skins, I put through the salad shooter to shred them. And I've got a mulch with just the potato skins and soil. And holy balls, if that shit just doesn't grow like gangbusters. On top of it, I decided I don't care what if it's Kentucky bluegrass or if it's, how it feels, or I just need something to hold the soil down so it's not muddy. So I went with like foraging grass that a farmer would use for like horse hay.
Yeah.
And dude, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. You'd never know. It looks like regular grass. It's thick and it surprisingly has cooled down the whole side of the house.
Well, that makes sense though, because you're not getting the ground retaining heat because you've got. Well, that's good. Yeah, I made mention. I had to have. I think I mentioned it somewhere. Welcome. I'm wondering how long I get to milk. Well, maybe it's because I have a brain injury.
You get a pass.
How long is that gonna work? I tell you what, it's already gotten old here in the house. I'll tell you.
I was gonna say, as long as you can make it work.
Yeah, we're already done, and we're only on like day 2. But. But I had to have, very long story short, there was pipe work that was done in my yard, and there was a concrete driveway that was put in covering what used to be yard. Uh-huh. And I was advised and I was assured from the guys putting in the concrete that they had capped any lines that may have been under there. But I don't think the thing they considered, Trent, is that PVC is still a plastic.
Yep.
And if you put heavy concrete over dirt, that kind of thing might happen. So for some reason, my front lawn was split up into weird zones. Just essentially, to make it very easy, there were what worked out to be 7 sprinkler heads on one zone, and the 2 in the front corner were on a separate zone. And that zone happened to be on a line that broke onto that side. And I know that because every time I ran the lawn sprinklers, I was like, hey, that pressure looks way too low. And then one time I was going to the store late at night and I look at the crack in the driveway next to where I'm parking. I'm like, that's interesting. I don't recall us putting a fountain there.
Yep. Dude. Well, and if you're going from 7 sprinklers for a zone to 2, those 2 should have an insane amount of pressure.
Right, exactly. That thing should have been it should have sounded like a jet taking off every day.
Totally.
And I was really fixated on it because I actually got these. I can't believe I've got a prop here to show you. But these are, you know what? I can't remember who made them now, so I shouldn't be talking about it.
Or Hunter.
But it's an insert for a sprinkler. So it's the sprinkler head. And it worked on almost all of them. I had to replace one sprinkler head, but being a responsible lawnmower that has sprinkling equipment, I had extras on hand. So I was able to swap that out successfully. But I was fixated on it because these are water conserving ones. You know the big golf courses where they have the streaming, it's not just one arm though. It's like a cascading constant circle. These little sumbitches do the same thing. And you can set the radius from 45 degrees almost to a full 270 or 180 or whatever it is.
Yes, because that's always so frustrating when you go in to buy for the sprinkler head. It's usually like, okay, you've got the 360, the 120, or the 90. What do you want? And it's hard to actually find those adjustable ones.
Right, and this one does that completely, and it does those same type of little cascading streams. So it's not practically ionizing the water, and any light breeze can now carry all of that light spray away. And that's when I was really fixated. I'm like, okay, well, come on, we got these things in here now. Let's tune these sumbitches up. It's and even then, I expected these things to need to be dialed all the way back because they would be shooting into my neighbor's yard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The far side, and maybe even the neighbor after that had complained, and I wasn't getting it. And then seeing it come up through the corner of the driveway, it's like, well, that's disconcerting. How long have I been creating the potential sinkhole in my yard?
So, I mean, I'm assuming you just put in a new line around
Because the one line wasn't showing signs of distress, I think it comes straight off the feed and then goes straight under the driveway. So it already is underneath stuff that was pretty much established.
Yeah.
And so what I just told the gardener, because I know, I'm like, look, I'm not a man of science. However, I do know how to put in. I've put in my own sprinkler lines.
You've laid some pipe in your day.
Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying, right? No, but I've done yard maintenance and landscaping design of my own yard, so I know how they work. And I'm like, okay, I need you to cap off that bad line because we're never going to use it, and hook these two up to the same one these other 7 are on, so we could just have them all on there. And he did that, but like you've been trying to just bring back a lawn, he had dug up dirt, so that naturally destroyed lawn, and laid down sod, but didn't tell me he was laying down sod. So 3 days into it, not to mention not being put on any type of properly fertilized soil or prepared soil, it didn't last. So I've got to recover that spot now. And what I've almost been tempted to do, because there are some parts of the lawn that are more lush, I've been tempted to get something along the lines of, I mean, there's a device that can do it, but I could also rig something where you get like about a 2-inch to a 3-inch size pipe, and you basically create a divot in the area, and then you create a divot from lawn that you want to populate over here, and you put it in the spot.
Yes, that makes sense.
Kind of like hair plugs in a way, a hair transplant.
That is a lot. That is such a better example of what I was going to say. That I'm not even going to give my example because that is chef kiss. That is
Thank
beautiful.
you. But realistically speaking, I have some extra dirt. So instead, I'm going to get rid of the now very dead sod, and I'm going to bring in the excess dirt. Then I'm going to bring in some filler / potting soil that I will then put new sod onto, because I also need, look, man, I love my gardener. He's a great guy. But when I came out, because I didn't even know they were doing this, when I came out, they had made the nice little holes for all the other sprinklers, but the final one in the corner, I walk up at the wrong damn moment for him, because he's stomping down the ground in the corner, which is just taking that wonderful sprinkler and going like this to it.
It's totally taking it off trajectory.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow's big project. But one of the other things I did, one of the ordeals, I don't know where I told the story, but I ended up getting a new couch from Costco, and I don't own a truck, so I got a U-Haul to get rid of the existing truck at the dump, or the existing sofa. Yeah, couch. And then bring the new one in. But when I did that, I hate to say that my previous Costco couch was very middle America, but it had a center console and drink holders and USB ports.
Dude, are you kidding me? Those are the best.
And electric recliners, all that jazz. This new one didn't have it, but I got to have a fun project, which is really simple. And you can DIY this yourself, just look it up. But I got a bunch of 1x4s, and I basically made console tables that go between the couch and the wall that have outlets flush mounted in them.
I did the same thing.
Isn't that so satisfying when you make a piece of simple furniture like that and stain it and it just blends in with the environment?
Dude, I did the same thing, but I took kind of a shortcut and just I found on our Craigslist like a hallway table, and then I cut it in half. And then
there you go. Then you got two halves of the same thing you need. Because we're mostly counting on the surface pressure of the couch being up against there.
Exactly. And it's a good buffer, because if you're like me, you end up with divots in the wall from gotta stand up now. Get out.
We had that from the old couch with the recliners that I still need to patch. But these things are wonderful. The only thing is I didn't realize I would end up wanting 2 in each section, and there's 3 separate sections.
Yeah.
But you can also tell where I anticipated technology, because behind my wife and in the 2 corners, it's just USB, power. But when you get closer to my end, suddenly it's USB-C, USB, power. I'm like, well, wait, let's be realistic. I know where this will put one in range for Blair to charge her iPad. And then
why the hell can't we cook toast? What's going on here? Why don't you keep the breaker.
Oh, that, folks, is the ultimate callback. We can go no further. It can get no better. Thank you very much for joining us once again. Thank you to Brian Pohl, the Patreon subscriber of the week. And thank you, Trent, for your time today. It is so wonderful to see your face. I apologize to everyone. I don't know what happened, but hey, I've got a brain injury. Until next time, folks, my name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
Live long and prosper.
It's a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, the Star Wars thing. That's it.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a Smodco Internet production. Sit only at smodcast.com. No, Will, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say the stupid Star Wars thing. I'm just going to say I don't care what your little gimmick is. I ain't doing it.
Kang!
Oh, Lord.
No, I missed. Oh, damn it.